Hello everyone and welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms video. This is Dragothien here, and today we're going to continue our talent guide series on the defense talent tree. This is something that's a critical talent tree in the game. You tend to see this talent tree on infantry commanders, although we do have one for the archer commander Artemisia now too. So very nice to know exactly what to go into on this talent tree, because there's a lot of different pieces, there's a lot of moving parts inside of this talent tree that are critical to know, especially with Attila Takeda out there being so prevalent from a rally perspective. Knowing which skills or talents to take inside of this talent tree is definitely very important. Also, you need to know what to look for whenever you're just building a generic open field tree for your commanders that have the defense tree too. So let's jump right into it. We're going to go through the initial tier. Something to keep in mind before I do that, the small bubbles. The defense tree is a generic tree, so you'll see that all of these have a 0.5% per point on the smaller bubbles for the talents. Whereas if you go into a specific talent tree like infantry or garrison, when you click the smaller bubbles, you get a full percent. So whenever you're trying to fill out your talent builds and you've got a few points left over, you're trying to find out where a good spot for them would be, you want to make sure that you pick out those smaller bubbles to get the maximum value out of those points instead of the smaller ones that have a 0.5%. Okay, so you want to pick the bigger ones out. Small bubbles with bigger talent stat points. So let's jump right into it. We're going to go from top to bottom here. Master Armorer is very critical. It's a nice skill to have, or a nice talent to have. This basically gives you, when you've got 6 stars, 3% defense per point, which is huge value for your points. So you want to make sure that you take this skill 100%. If you don't have them 6-star and it's 5-star, then you just do the math here and you'll see what you have. But you want to be able to get 6-star on commanders that you're going to be using heavily as you progress into the game. So it's a 0.5% per star level, and you go up to 1.5% per star level. So if you are at 6, that means you're at 9% defense. This is huge. This is absolutely critical. You want to have this. So increases defense by 1.5 times the star level. 6 times 1.5 is 9. 9% defense. Very good. You definitely want to have this. Burning Blood grants an additional 2 rage every time the commander's troops are attacked. That means if you're swarmed, you get this 6 rage every time you're attacked. Now, it doesn't say specifically normal attacked or counterattacked. Technically, and again, this needs to be tested, but technically, every attack is made up of 2 attacks. It's a normal attack and a counterattack. So, theoretically, if this is a generic per attack skill or talent, you technically could be getting 12 rage every time you're attacked, and then if you're swarmed by 4 people, that's 48 rage every time you're attacked, and an attack happens every second. So this may make a lot of sense to go ahead and give you a lot of rage. You definitely want to have it. Burning Blood's a very good skill to have. This helps generate your rage, especially when you don't necessarily have a rage engine talent tree like the skill tree, which you can't have skill and defense because they're both blue trees. But you understand what I'm saying. This is a very good talent to have. You have to have it. Now, as we go on to the bottom 2 here, these are a little bit more minimal impact. However, they need to be unlocked to get to some of the nicer skill talents that are in this tree. Also, they're not bad to have. They're just kind of small for the points that you're getting. So the top one, No Weaknesses, gives you a 0.5% per point, so 1.5% reducing damage taken. That's good to have at all damage. There's no specifier on what kind of damage it is, so reduces damage taken by 1.5%. That's just a flat 1.5% damage reduction. That's pretty sweet. That's about 10%, or I guess maybe more like 15% of what Sun Tzu gives you with his 10%. So nothing wrong with that at all. It's just not really super great for 3 points. If this was a 3% damage taken reduction, that would be pretty sweet. A little bit more efficient as well. The next one, Spiked Armor, increases your counterattack damage that you deal. So increasing counterattack damage dealt by 1.5% as well. Again, nothing crazy, but not bad when you're using this on infantry because their counterattack is very good, especially when you've got the skills from Richard and Charles and Leo and Constantine. Those are all kind of stacking up very nicely. Now, the main reason you want these 2 talents, though, is to get to the next tier here on the bottom, which gives you Loose Formation. And again, this is a great talent for your open field builds, because this is going to give you 9%. 9% skill damage reduction, which is very, very good. And this is skill damage taken only. This is not normal attack, counter attack, any of that stuff. But as long as it's not Attila Takeda and it's a skill damage nuker, this is really what you want to have. This is a must-have if you're facing open field opponents and they're coming into you where they want to mass nuke you down. This is very, very critical to have. Now, if you're doing a garrison, which again, I wouldn't recommend Richard for garrison unless it's in the arc, and you're just going to be taking Attila Takeda rallies, this is not a required talent. You don't need to take it because it only helps you against skill damage, and Attila Takeda does not have skill damage, so not needed. But for open field generic battle, this is definitely a must-have talent. Let's work our way up. So the next one, Medicinal Supply, is very, very nice to have. It starts out at 100 healing factor. After using a skill, it heals 100 healing factor. When you upgrade it, it goes to 300, which, again, nothing crazy. However, it's after every skill. So after using a skill, commanders use skills. There's 2 commanders in an army. That's 2. That's 2 times this procs every single rotation, which means this is really effectively a 600 healing factor, 300 twice. And that basically makes it about half as efficient as Richard's heal. Richard has a, 12 or 1400 heal, something like that. I'll look after we're done with this. But this is a very good component, and when you stack this with what Richard already heals in the open field, this is very, very critical. Very, very good to have, and it keeps you topped off. It keeps your troop count high, which means that you're going to have an advantage over somebody who does not have healing. This also gives you a nice little heal for non-healing commanders like Charles, okay? Charles doesn't have a heal by himself. However, if you have medicinal supplies, he now has a little bit of a mini heal. It's very, very nice to have. Now, let's continue going up. Testudo formation. This was an absolutely critical must-have. This was the best talent in the game kind of thing when the game first came out. They nerfed it a little bit a long time ago. And instead of it lasting, I think it was 10 seconds. It used to last like 5 or 10 seconds. It was amazing. It only lasts 1 second now. So normal troop attacks have a 10% chance to reduce all damage taken, keep in mind, by 15%, which is huge, during the next 1 second. Testudo formation is fantastic against Attila Takeda because, again, all of their damage is just regular damage. So you're always going to proc whenever they're causing high damage. But for skill damage opponents, this would have to be luckily timed because you can't control it, right? This happens to just proc whenever it likes to. Generally, just from experience, I've seen this proc like 2 or 3 times every 10 seconds or so. I know it says 10%, which is a 1 out of 10 kind of thing, but realistically, it's about 2 or 3 times per 10 seconds is the average. Sometimes it'll proc even more. Sometimes it won't proc at all. But average is 2 or 3 times this will proc, which means 2 or 3 seconds out of 10 seconds, you'll have 15% less damage coming in. And again, if this procs when the skill damage is applied to you, if you're going up against a nuking commander, that's a 15% less skill damage taken. So this is good to have. It's not as good as it once was, but this is still really a tried and true stalwart talent in the defense talent tree. So I still take this on almost, if not every build that I make. Now let's go up to the top one. This is the controversial one, balance. And really this is a situational thing. It increases the damage that reduces damage taken by 1%. So it's a tanky skill, but you also reduce the damage you deal as well. So it's a tanky, and then it's also a little bit of a nerf to your damage. It's 1% up to 3%, and then you lose 1.5% of your damage going out. Now, to me, a lot of times balance is worth it. 3% damage taken reduction when you stack it up with no weaknesses as well. That's 4.5% damage taken reduced. So very, very nice. Definitely something you want to do against Attila Takeda. If you're doing that, that's an extra 3% damage that they're not doing to you. That's a big part of what they do. So I definitely like balance when it comes to the defense talent tree on almost all my builds. There's a few builds that I don't use it on because I've got nuke with it and everything else, and I don't want to reduce the skill damage that I'm doing. But overall, this is a really good skill to have. I know there's a trade-off there, but I do like balance. It's good to have. Now, Desperate Elegy, this one's kind of okay? Because here's the thing. So let's read it out really quick. When the army led by this commander has been reduced to 30% strength, so you're 30% of your health, which means you're pretty much in the red, okay? Greatly increases rage accumulation rate for the next 20 seconds. That's kind of nice. An additional 5 rage will be received from each attack. So when somebody attacks you, and again, if you're getting swarmed, this starts to really kind of pile up the rage quickly. You get some additional rage, but once you're at 30% health, you've pretty much marked yourself for death at that point, especially if you're getting swarmed. So it's kind of a situational thing where, yeah, it's great to have that extra rage, but at that point, what's the point of having the additional rage? Because if you're doing it to get more additional skill damage out from a secondary skill damage commander, if you're at 30% health, you're not really putting out that much damage. Now, where this does work really well, is in garrison and rally situations, because it goes off of the main commander's health. So if you are in a long extended rally and you are rallying with Richard, for instance, as primary, and you've got Desperate Elegy and you've got Alex secondary or whoever else you want, once your army, the rally, hits 30%, you can have a full rally, but once your army inside that rally hits 30%, this triggers. So again, you would want to have that in this situation from a rally build or garrison build perspective. You want to max this, because even if your full rally is full, right? So if say you're rallying a city and it's 2.5 million or whatever, you can have a full rally, but your army inside that rally, because the rally's been going for so long, your army inside that rally might be at 30%, which is what the bar is on the side of those rallies and the side of those garrisons. This will trigger at 30% health, even if the rally is full, which means that you're going to get the full benefit of the additional rage regeneration while not having the downside of it being at 30% strength. So you're getting all the fun and none of the bad stuff. So in rally and garrison situations, you want to have Desperate Elegy. But if not, I would not take Desperate Elegy on open field, because again, at that point, you're pretty much done. Those 5 points could probably go to adding in Iron Spear or another Undying Fury rage generation talent, or maybe even possibly getting you 6% strong, health on Strong of Body, that kind of thing. You want to have that. I'd much rather have that than 5 points of Desperate Elegy, which is going to give me basically nothing on the open field, because at that point, if you're getting swarmed down, you're done. So that's the talent tree. All of these talents are so good in certain situations. So again, if you're going up against Attila Takeda in a garrison, you don't want loose formation, but you do want Desperate Elegy, and you do want balance. And Testudo formation is really good, and the healing is really good. You want to have all those things. So basically everything except for loose formation is solid inside of the garrison tree for defense. Or the defense tree for garrisoning. And then same thing, if you're going up in just open field, I would have this entire thing. Maybe you don't necessarily need balance if you want to do a little more damage in the open field. That's up to you. You can cut that off and then just have this, and then I would cut Desperate Elegy off, and then again, you can do whatever you want with balance. But that's more for open field. So that's the way I've used them over the year and some change that I've been doing this stuff. So this is very, very good. Hopefully this has explained everything to you the way that you need it explained. This gives a full breakdown of all the talents that you should know how to use them and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time. Cheers, have a good one, and take care.